Hey everyone, welcome along to the channel today. Today I am starting a new series of videos which are going to be answering some of the many questions I get answered. Quite often people will message me through social media or my website, etc., asking certain questions about my pinhole photography. I normally try my best to answer these, but when it comes to typing stuff up, my limited vocabulary and spelling mistakes don't always go down as easy. So I'm going to start this new series of videos to show the answers to these questions. So today I am going to answer the question, why so many pinholes on your pinhole camera? So this is the pinhole camera that I've been questioned over. Is the Ondu 4x5 Rise, and as you'll notice it has 3 pinholes. Now what you could do with this is set up an exposure and open all 3. And what we'll probably end up with that image is 3, almost like a triple exposure. Each pinhole is going to be centered on a set point. So the image is going to be hitting the pinholes and kind of projecting onto the film at very slightly different angles. So on the Ondu, what we've got on the side are these lines. So the centre one, the centre pinhole, will mean as long as the camera is flat, the horizon will always be dead centre to the image. If you move it up a little bit to the second pinhole, what that's going to actually do is move the horizon up. Or if you tilt the camera the other way, it's going to move it down. So with a shot like this, with the centered pinhole, and what I'm going to want to do is to keep all the vertical lines vertical. The chances are I won't get the whole of the building in. Now what I could obviously do is tilt the camera back, and that will obviously look up to the building. The downside of that is it's going to start to push all them vertical lines in, so you kind of ended up with a kind of like a squiffed building. So everything goes like that, and below the horizon line they all start to go off the other way. So by keeping everything flat, so as long as that film plane is completely straight, everything will appear as it is. So the problem is obviously the centre pinhole isn't going to get the whole of the image in, and I don't want squiffy lines. So the next pinhole up, this one here, is going to, the light coming in from it down here is going to travel much further. So this line on the side you can follow up, and that should get the whole of that building in, but obviously much less of the foreground. So the foreground will probably be off to around here somewhere, but it should get hopefully all the building in. So I'm going to do 2 more shots, one with the centered pinhole and another with the rise pinhole, and them together we can compare the difference and see what it looks like. Okay, so this is the first image with the pinhole in the center of the camera. And as you can see, it's got the horizon going directly through the center of the camera, as you would expect. Unfortunately, with this image, it's then started to just remove the top of the steeple in it. So obviously the option would be to tilt the camera, which is what I didn't want to do. So with the rise pinhole, you then start to see the difference. It's moved that horizon much further down to like the lower third of the image. It's got all that extra sky in it. Again, all them vertical lines are still nice and vertical, and it's just a much more appealing image. So hopefully from them two images you should be able to see the difference of how much it adjusts the horizon. And like I say, if you twist the camera over, you then get a lot more foreground, and it moves the horizon into kind of like the top third of the image. But I'll quickly demonstrate tilting the camera to try and get a similar angle of view as it would have been to get the whole church in, and we'll just see how much it kind of twists in the building. So that as an angle should get the whole of that church in. It's not the biggest church for the shot, but hopefully it demonstrates the point. So I'll do another exposure here with the centre pinhole, and we can see how much it actually tilts in that a little bit and just gets them horizontal lines kind of tucking in. Dark side out. Okay, so now with this image you can really start to see them vertical lines just starting to slowly tuck in. Even on that grave on the right, you can see that just falling in there, the tree on the left as well. Now if I tilted this up even more, the more extreme that would get. The vertical lines in the centre will always stay centre. As you can see on the door, the left hand side is actually sitting pretty nice, but the right hand side is just starting to tuck itself in. Now if we compare that to the one with the rise, you can see here that everything just sat so much nicer, and it just looks like a much nicer image with everything sitting nicely. The trees are there sitting nice, the gravestone is all nice and square to the image how it should be, and it just personally gives a more appealing look than this one where everything is just starting to tuck in. Now different building, like I say, if I tilted it back more, them angles would be so much worse. Now if we look back on a photo I did a few months back, which is this one, I had the pinhole camera tilted probably quite a bit more up, and it's really chucked that steeple off into the image, and even the railings coming down the left hand side are bending in towards the bottom, and it just didn't work. So this is one I really want to go back and shoot with the rise and hopefully be able to capture it all in, because it is a really big steeple on this place. But that's kind of an extreme version of what this can look like, and hopefully with the rise pinhole it should just be able to adjust all that out, as long as that film plane is nice and flat on the back of the camera. Anyway guys, I really hope that's demonstrated to you why I have the 3 pinholes on my pinhole camera. The third is obviously for when the camera is in the landscape option, and again you have that option to move the centre of the image to the top or the lower half, and allowing them vertical lines to stay straight. So it's a fantastic option to have, and if you are looking at buying a pinhole camera and there is the option for the rise system, don't let it daunt you, don't let it freak you out. It's much nicer to have. It allows a lot more options creatively to just particularly if you're shooting in towns and stuff, just to keep them vertical lines vertical really, and even in landscape stuff as well. I've had it in a few before where you've had like pylons and stuff or distant poles, and when they're all tilting in, it just doesn't have the same appeal as when everything is kind of how it's meant to be, but it just gives a nicer look to the image, and for a few quid more it's certainly worth the option. So anyway, I really hope you've enjoyed this little video. Like and subscribe, and if you have any questions, please either put them in the comments, message me on my website or any of the social media platforms that I'm on, and I'll do my best to answer them, and maybe possibly even do a video as well. So thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you next time.